We just got the worst pick in fantasy football this year, which is going to be pick number 7. Puts you in a very awkward spot, in my opinion, in that you're not going to be able to get one of the tier 1 running backs or going to be able to get one of the tier 1 wide receivers. For that, you need a top 5 pick. So pick 7, we are going to have to make some adjustments. We are going to have to do our best to make sure we don't light this entry on fire. But there is a good shot we do so because, again, it is very, very difficult to make this pick work. Now, what most people are going to do when they're on the clock at 6, when they're on the clock at 7, is they're going to be looking at Jonathan Taylor or Christian McCaffrey. However, if you look at my rankings, we can go ahead and pull this up here. You will see that I don't have it that way. I have Amon-Ra St. Brown ranked as the next best option. Now, with that in mind, I've already drafted. Oh my gosh. Okay. Well, we're going to be a normie in this one. Apparently, we're going to take McCaffrey. We're going to try to make it work. Maybe this is the fantasy gods saving me. Maybe this is them saying, Mason, you've already drafted too much Amon-Ra St. Brown this season. Mix in some Christian McCaffrey, because he does have a higher ceiling than almost any other running back that's left on the board. And it isn't my first time taking McCaffrey. We can go ahead and see on the player combo for the flockfantasy.com tool here that I have taken Saquon Barkley and Christian McCaffrey together in a draft. I've taken Kyron Williams, Garrett Wilson in that same draft as well. So if I wanted to have a unique portfolio, maybe what I decide to do with this next pick is I decide to not take Saquon Barkley. But to be honest with you, based on how these drafts fall, I don't really expect Saquon Barkley to make it back to us anyway. But I appreciate everybody coming out with us. And Siebel says we got to be responsible and we have to have at least 8% McCaffrey. So here's the thing that I've come away with. I've come away with the realization that I think I have been too responsible drafting over the past few years. I need to be more reckless. Typically, when we make the big time stances on players that are going inside the first 15 rounds, don't talk to me about round 17 Trey Lance. We made that mistake a few years back. But typically, our big time shots have hit. Our big time fades have hit. So round 1 is a little different, but I'm going to be willing to call my shot and go very overboard drafting specific players in specific ranges this season. And let's take Saquon Barkley. He's the highest ranked player on my board. And this is going to be very interesting. Now, again, we've already drafted a Christian McCaffrey, Saquon Barkley start on Underdog. We've drafted 25 total teams. In one of our drafts, we had McCaffrey and Barkley together. And because this is the overall tournament aspect where I'm going to be drafting a ton of different teams, I'm not trying to draft the same exact team that I did last time. So this is pretty much going to make sure that I don't take Kyron Williams in the next round. I'm not drafting Garrett Wilson in round 4. Those players are almost going to be off my board at this point. Not for a regular league, obviously, if you're in a regular league, but for somebody like me who is drafting a ton of teams on Underdog that is building out a diversified portfolio, I don't want to just have the same 4 picks in a bunch of drafts. Now, obviously, you may be wondering, how the hell are you drafting so many teams on Underdog? Real quick, everybody here knows, but just in case somebody doesn't, these are best ball drafts. That means there's no time commitment at all during the year. Your best automatic starting lineup is submitted for you at the end of every single week. And at the same time, no waiver wire, no trades. So you're going to be drafting extremely deep. Players like Justice Hill are going to be going at the end of this draft. It's a tournament style structure, which means it's going to be this tournament specifically, a $5 buy-in, $100,000 for first, $50,000 for second, $25,000 for third. How that's going to work is you draft against 11 other people. The 2 highest scoring teams in the fantasy regular season, weeks 1 through 14, are going to make it to the fantasy football playoff tournament, where you have to go up against 9 other teams in week 15 If you're the highest scoring team, you go to week 16, where you have to go up against 5 other teams. If you're the highest scoring team, you go to week 17, where you go up against about 600 other teams. And if you're the highest scoring team, you turn $5 into 100,000. And then obviously the prize pool goes all the way down. But I love drafting teams on Underdog, especially in May, especially in June, when I'm not going to be drafting my regular fantasy football team at this point. Actually, it makes me better to draft now for my strategy later. And yeah, we've done this for years. We are on the clock. If you're using my rankings, I do have Devonta Smith as the highest ranked player. I have not taken Devonta Smith in a draft yet this year. I think you could make an argument to go Josh Allen, but my hesitation with Josh Allen is going to be that we've not taken a receiver through the first 2 rounds. So after we go running back, I don't know if I want the elite quarterback. But Antonio says, just signed up for Underdog today with your code to try some of these best ball drafts for the first time. Thank you. No, thank you, my friend. That helps the stream more than you could ever imagine. And yeah, I'll be live streaming every single day with these drafts. I hope you can hop in some of these $5 drafts with us too. And obviously, if anybody wanted to get on Underdog that's not already there, if you sign up with code FLOCK with the link in the description of the comment section, after you play your first $5, you're going to get $50 added to your account for free. And you're going to be getting the flockfantasy.com best ball extension for free. So you're going to have an advantage in these drafts as well. The link to both of those in the description, in the comment section. Underdog Fantasy is available in almost every single state. You can see the map here, but again, unless you're in like Nevada or Louisiana, you probably got Underdog. All right, we are going to be back up on the clock. We definitely want to take a wide receiver. I have not drafted Egbuka in a single draft yet. Jamison Williams, I believe, is my actual highest ranked player. No, actually, Egbuka was my highest ranked player. So we'll take Egbuka here at 42. And we'll pair him up with Devonta Smith. But we hadn't drafted him in a draft so far this season. He does have a decent ceiling. I just am very much concerned about the fall off that we had at the end of last year. Okay. Now, let's move this over. And yeah, Josh Allen went at pick 34. And Josh Allen was the other interesting name when we took Devonta Smith. But for me specifically, since we went running back, we couldn't go with Allen. Looking at our optimal construction after what we have done so far, based on all the historical data, it does look like 3 quarterback builds, 5 running back builds, 7 or 8, honestly, 8 wide receiver builds are the optimal, and then 3 tight ends. So maybe we want to try to snag ourselves like an elite quarterback here in round 5 or 6, so we can go with a 2 QB and 8 wide receiver build. We'll see what happens. Okay. Adavino says, first time catching you live. You helped me win my league last year. Are you making an overall top picks YouTube vid? Yeah, we'll talk about my most drafted players, but I'm just going to be completely honest. It's May 3rd, right? I'm just now getting into these drafts. I've done 25 drafts so far this year. I'm going to end up, by the time it's all said and done, with like 500, 600 drafts. So what I'll probably do is wait until I've finished 500, 600 or so drafts. And then at that point, I'll probably go ahead and make a video where I talk about the players that I've drafted the most and the players that I've drafted the least so far. Okay. DJ Moore goes off at 52. Let's swing this back. So if we were to take Terry here in round 5, it would be with the expectations we're taking Jaden Daniels on the way back. Terry's gone. I have Judkins and Lamar as the top 2 picks. They're both here as well. Rome goes, I'm going to take Lamar. Let's take Lamar Jackson at pick 55. And that's going to update us. And this is kind of my goal with taking Lamar, is I wanted to go towards that 2 quarterback, 8 wide receiver build after looking at the numbers and seeing how close 8 wide receivers was to being optimal. So we'll take Lamar Jackson at 55. And then a mistake that I made in a draft earlier this offseason was after grabbing the elite quarterback here at like 55, or maybe it was in round 6, but regardless, after taking the elite QB, we did decide to double up on the next quarterback. I think that was actually in rounds 6 and round 7. But now we know we shouldn't be doing that. Now we know we take Lamar. We don't want Jalen Hurts on the way back around. We probably want to give ourselves the optionality of taking another quarterback in the rounds 9 through 11 range. So I'll probably be passing on Jalen Hurts here, even if he does stack with Devonta Smith for us. And we'll see what we go. And Craviton says, thought you'd go with Hurts in the 6th. You could make a very strong argument that we should have. We are going to take Carnell Tate as our 3rd wide receiver. I actually really like the Carnell Tate selection with the volume that he's projected to have in Tennessee this next year. And obviously, I'm not going to sit here and say he's the same level prospect as Marvin Harrison. But if you go back to Marvin Harrison's rookie year, where was he going in drafts? The last time we had a wide receiver that went top 5 in the NFL draft, where was he going in fantasy drafts? At the 1-2 turn. That same year, Malik Neighbors was going at the 2-3 turn. And here we're getting Carnell Tate in the middle of the 6th round. So I feel very good about this price tag for Carnell Tate. And I feel really good about our team overall. I mean, we have McCaffrey, Barkley at running back, the elite quarterback with Lamar. We have Devonta Smith, Igbuka, as well as Carnell Tate. I think we're in a really good spot. Okay. Fuji says, where does Jeremiah Smith go in underdog drafts in 2027? Obviously, I think a lot's going to come down to his landing spot in the NFL, but my expectation will be like the Jeremiah Smith probably goes in the range that Marv did his rookie year. I think he's going at the 1-2 turn. Okay. We have Pollard, RJ Harvey going. I think that may be early for Harvey in comparison to what we have been seeing. Okay. Bald Mason says, is James Conner the RB2 in Arizona? I'd be very surprised if that was the case, knowing that they had James Conner in the building, and what did they decide to do? Go and pay Tyler Algier the starter's money, and then also draft a running back and pick 3 overall. So I'd be very surprised if James Conner was the number 2 guy. Okay. I am actually going to take DK Metcalf. Haven't drafted much of them. If you look at my most drafted player in this range, it's actually been Jordan Addison, who I'm at 20% of these drafts with. But we will take Metcalf and mix it up. And we'll move this down. So now we have McCaffrey, Barkley at running back, wide receiver, Devonta Smith, Igbuka, Carnell Tate, and DK Metcalf. And it says under construction is the composite percentage the only thing that you're looking at? No, under construction, whenever I go through and look for these optimal builds, I am taking into account the advance rate, the semifinals rate, and the finals rate for every build. And obviously this all updates real time. So the composite gives you a quick little glance if you don't want to break it down yourself. But for me, I'm staying on top and I'm looking at every one of those 3 data points. Like here, if you look at 8 wide receiver versus 7 wide receiver builds, they have identical advancement rates, identical finals rates, but you're much more likely to get the team to the semifinals with 8 receivers as opposed to 7. Okay, so we are back up on the clock. We just took 1 Pittsburgh Steelers, so let's go ahead. Let's take the other with Jalen Warren. Maybe make the consolidated bet that the Pittsburgh Steelers offense is better than the market is projecting. Okay. Bloody says, I don't get the yearly Lamar Jackson hype. Let me move this over and I will give you a quick little rundown of why Lamar Jackson would have hype in fantasy football. Get ready for this next level analysis here. Truly next level. Lamar Jackson, through his NFL career, 27 points per game, 22, 20, 19.5, 20, 25, and 16.5. You've had 1 bad fantasy season for Lamar Jackson since 2019. And 2 of those years, he was by far and away the best quarterback in fantasy. So I am fine looking at the very large sample and taking the discount and getting Lamar here in the 5th. And yes, I'm sorry. I know y'all need more in-depth analysis, but my monkey brain doesn't get more in-depth than that. Okay, we're going to move this over. I've yet to draft a Ricky Pearsall in any of these. And I'm going to be honest with y'all, I don't think I will in this one. Let's take a look at my rankings and who appears to be the best pick on the board? It's probably the guy that was the best pick on the board last year. We're going to go Quentin Johnston here. We're going to stretch the imagination and go, what if he could finish higher than wide receiver 45? What if the big Q could be a good value as the wide receiver 5 on your own team? I don't know, Mason. That seems super unrealistic. Well, at 24 years old last year, he's the wide receiver 26 in points per game. Back-to-back years, I mean, decent yards per route run data. His rookie season, obviously, was like the worst wide receiver in the league. But at this cost, I'm A-okay with it. All hail the big Q. All hail the big Q. And I know we don't ban people from the stream. We don't ban people in the chat. But I got a quick warning to everybody here. I think we may be changing that policy this next season. That if you want to talk down on the big Q, you may be getting hit with the permaban. All right? Just a fair warning to everybody watching this. Chris Rodriguez goes at 110, which I know a lot of people are now concerned that Rodriguez is the guy over Tootin. Okay. Wandale goes 112. And let's move this over. I think it's pretty clear who we want. Like, one of the difficulties now streaming with the flockfantasy.com overlay is y'all can just very clearly see who I'm targeting in my stacks. You can see my rankings and you can see my stacks. But we have Igbuka, so it's very simple. We're going to take Baker Mayfield. This is the last round that you can get a respectable quarterback. We take him here, and we know we're going to be locked into a 2-quarterback build. Let's look at the updated data. Yeah, the updated data, based on what we've done, you have a higher advancement rate, semifinals rate, and finals rate with the 2 QBs. And Baker Mayfield, completely reasonable price tag here. Not like we're reaching a crazy amount. And I'm not going to lie, we got a crap pick at pick 7. But if we assume that Barkley and McCaffrey are able to be running back ones and they are able to stay healthy, if that happens, this is a great team. Barkley, McCaffrey at running back with Jalen Warren as your RB3. Lamar at quarterback, Baker stacked with Igbuka, wide receiver, Devonta Smith, Igbuka, Carnell Tate, DK Metcalf, Quentin Johnston. I like the squad. Okay. Yes, I'm going to have you banned on Underdog too if you have any Quentin Johnson slander. Fuji Apple says, Mason, if I wear a big Q jersey to the meetup, would you sign it? Oh, you know I'd sign that, my friend. I would love to. Okay. And we got Jake Ferg off at 123. I really like our team. We'll see what the analyzer says about it at the end of the draft. But I'm a fan. Darnold goes 125. Gadsden off. I don't know if I want Kittle here. Would we reach on Andrews over Kittle? We're not going to get Andrews on the way back. I think Andrews scores more points than Kittle this season. Let me look up the dates of the torn Achilles for George Kittle. Let me pull that up real quick. Okay. George Kittle tore his right Achilles tendon January 11th, 2026. Let me go over to my injury researcher, which is ChatGPT. How long for a George Kittle age? He's 32. He's going to turn 33 this year. 32.5-year-old tight end in the NFL to come back from a torn Achilles and play football games. Let's see what my best friend ChatGPT has to say. It's on thinking mode, so it's going to take a little bit of time. Shaheed goes. I think Shaheed's a good pick here. I'm not going to fault anybody at all from taking Shaheed. We are about to be on the clock yet again. Jalen McMillan obviously stacks for us, but here's the thing. I think he scores fewer points than the tight ends in this range, so we're going to take Isaiah Likely. Which, honestly, Isaiah Likely over Dallas Goedert is just bad. I shouldn't do that. Okay, so I'll ground this into actual NFL Achilles return to play date, then translate it to a 32-year-old tight end, and specifically rather than a general rehab timeline. For a 32-year-old NFL tight end, a torn Achilles is usually a 9 to 12 month injury to play in a real NFL game, with a realistic range, best case being 8 months. Normal to realistic, 10 to 12. Conservative / full strength, 12 to 15 plus. For NFL players specifically, studies show Achilles return to play averages around 11 to 12.6 months and only about 66 to 72% return to NFL games at all. Older age and a physical position like tight ends make the back to games timeline harder than for a younger player. Okay. What day did I say George Kittle tore his Achilles? He tore it on Jan 11th. Estimate his time to be good at fantasy football again. All right. Juwan Jennings off the board. I have yet to take Zach Charbonnet. I don't know if we're going to take Charbonnet here. Do we take Brenton Strange instead? Do we get Hunter Henry? Please, God, tell me God. Okay, we got Hunter Henry. So we're done at tight end at this point. Okay. According to my best friend / best researcher, it is saying best estimate for fantasy relevant again, November 11th. Best odds of looking close to normal, December 11th through January 11th. So we're talking the fantasy playoffs. So for me, I'm not trying to be super overweight Kittle. Let me see how bad taking 3 tight ends in this range was. Obviously, we want to be going with the 3 tight end build. Right now, it looks like we want to take 2 more running backs and 3 more receivers. And do we take our first Zach Charbonnet share? Loop says, please, God, give me Hunter Henry. May have only been said one time ever. Hey, what do you know about the San Diego Chargers, Hunter Henry? Back in Dynasty, he was an appealing asset. The beginning of his career. Do we make our first Zach Charbonnet selection? This is the question, ladies. This is the question we got to ask. Okay. Tajee Spears off the board. We need 2 more running backs and 3 more receivers. I don't care about the quote-unquote stack that Brandon Ayuk has with the Niners. McCaffrey, it's irrelevant. He's not going to be a Niner. I think we take Travis Hunter. Now, let me ask chat, how many fantasy football points on Underdog does a defensive back score on average? Imagine it's not a lot. But we are going to set the tone of our defense. A lot of people think in these drafts, and like honestly, a lot of people think in fantasy football that it's all about trying to score the most amount of points. They only focus in on how do I score more points? How do I raise my points for? If you really want to be good at the game, and this is the philosophy that I've taken to win the most games of anybody in the Flock League the past 2 years, to profit over 120,000 on Underdog over the past 4 seasons, it's how do we limit our opponent's points? I mean, how do we lower our points against? How do we limit our opponent's points for? And if there is a defensive back that you could take in round 14 to do that, it's probably worth it. I'm not taking Travis Hunter here for us to score more fantasy points. I'm taking him so we can put him up against the team that took Puka Nacua, the team that took Jamar Chase. Good luck. You didn't take Travis Hunter. You have no defensive players on your team. How are you stopping Christian McCaffrey? I don't know. But we at least have a game plan on defense. We are only running back as well as wide receiver. I don't know if we want to be taking Nicholas Singleton here. We'll take Deebo Samuel. Here's the thought process with Deebo Samuel, right? If we only take players that are on NFL teams that are actually going to be playing on games on Sunday, who am I going to hang out with in the locker room? Who am I going to hang out with on the sideline? Me as the coach, the general manager, the owner of this team? I don't want to just be only surrounded by players. So we'll grab Deebo Samuel, somebody who may not be playing this next season. And if he turns out to sign with the Miami Dolphins, then cool. But if not, he can be my buddy on the sideline. Now, the only thing we are missing with this team at this point is a water boy. So the question that we need to ask is who would be the best water boy here at pick 186, right? We currently need to be taking 1 more receiver and 7 wide receivers and 6 RBs could be in play. This is an interesting development. Let's take Nicholas Singleton here. Yeah, let's take Kadarius Toney. I would have taken Rashee Rice earlier to be my driver, but sadly he was sniped. So we'll have to take an Uber to the game. But we'll take Nicholas Singleton. And this is an example of like a team that I would have 100% of the time in the past, before we had the flockfantasy.com tool, taken an 8th wide receiver and only 5 running backs. We have McCaffrey, Barkley, Jalen Warren, Nicholas Singleton as our 4 RBs. Wide receiver, we have Devonta Smith, Egbuka, Carnell Tate, DK Metcalf, Quentin Johnston, Travis Hunter, Deebo Samuel. It is very interesting. If you're looking at the data, there maybe is an argument to be made that 6 running backs and 7 wide receivers are in play. I'm probably not going to go in that direction. I think I'm probably still going to grab a receiver at the end of this. But It is interesting. Kadarius Tony says, do you remember when I was being drafted ahead of Mike Evans in underdog drafts? Yes. Do you remember when I specifically pointed that out and called that the worst decision on the board? The year Kadarius Tony was getting drafted ahead of freaking Mike Evans because his yards per route run. Hilarious. Okay. Now, Aaron Rodgers off the board. Let's move this around. We are only running back and receiver. We know that we got to take another running back. Expectations at the moment are going to be that Zach Charbonnet is missing the majority of the season. Very similar to George Kittle. That devastating injury happened at the very end of the year. So, for that reason, there's reason to believe that Emmanuel Wilson will be split in the backfield with Jadarian Price early in the season, and we will mix them in here near the end. Okay. And we will make one last pick, and then we're going to jump to another draft after this. Loop says, thoughts on Keon Coleman going undrafted? I'm not going to lie. I have like 70% of them. I'm not going to lie. I don't have a great feel on the round 18 players right now. Like last year, it was easy. I took a lot of Kareem Hunt and a lot of Justice Hill in round 18. And a lot of Nick Chubb as well. Obviously, after you had the Mixon fiasco, Nick Chubb rose dramatically. But those were very easy picks at the end. Keon Coleman, 1.39 yards per route run this past season. Getting benched in games. You can make an argument that they don't have like a... fill in for him. We are going to take Jacoby Lane. I think Elijah Surratt and Jacoby Lane are very comparable given the prospect profiles and the draft capital as well. But Jacoby Lane, just going further down the board, is going to be a player that's drafted in fewer drafts in this tournament. So we'll take him. We'll stack him with Lamar Jackson. And overall, I honestly think we did very well in that draft, considering that we got a garbage pick, like pick 7. And let's go ahead and let's hop in another one of these. And let me move over. Thank God. Underdog heard me complaining. They heard the complaining loud and clear. They go ahead. They give us pick numero 5. I believe that's what it is. Definitely that's what it is because it's about to be Cinco de Mayo. So they give us pick 5 in preparation for Cinco de Mayo. But we got BB in here with us at pick 6. And let me know if anybody else is with us. Monk says, Mason, what do you think the best pick to have so far is? I think picks 1 and 2 are by far and away the best this season. For me personally, I think that there's a clear tier between Jahmyr Gibbs and Bijan and every other player in drafts. Then after that, as long as I can get a top 5 pick, I'm cool. But, like, again, I think almost this year more than any, like, having an early pick matters. At least, can y'all remember the last time it felt like such an advantage to have an early pick like this? Okay, JSN goes, we're not going to complain. We are just going to take Puka Nacua. Looks like we've actually drafted a decent amount of Puka so far this year. We can see what our combos typically are with Puka. Let me pull this up. So we've drafted Puka before this on 4 other teams. We've taken Chase Brown on 2 of those teams we drafted Puka on. We grabbed Trey McBride, Brock Bowers, George Pickens on 1 team each. And then we also drafted Jeremiah Love on 2 of our Puka teams as well. So maybe we don't look to go Puka, Chase Brown, Jeremiah Love. But honestly, at those prices, I absolutely love it. Okay. Now, let's see. Justin Jefferson off the board at pick 9. Lamb goes 10. So super standard drafts so far outside of Amon-Ra St. Brown getting pushed up ahead of McCaffrey and ahead of Taylor. But, I mean, I've been doing that myself. So, again, I'm not going to fault anybody for doing that. But it will be a little bit different than what you typically see in these drafts. Okay. Now, James Cook goes at 11, goes at 12. Neighbors at 13. God, I just can't imagine taking Saquon Barkley there at the 1-2 turn. Speedbird says JSN fall off coming this season. Let me pull up his profile on the site. Great prospect coming into the NFL. 3.71 yards per route run, 11 yards per target off a 36% team target share last season. He's played 17 games every year of his NFL career. I don't know how you could be confident about projecting a fall off. Looking at my rankings, I have Drake London as the highest ranked player, and we're going to go with it. We're going Puka London. Looking at the roster optimizer or roster construction optimizer after we go wide receiver, we are still more likely than not looking at 5 running backs being the optimal. Still more likely than not looking at 7 receivers, but we are getting close to pivoting over to 4 RBs and getting close to pivot over to 6 wide receivers, depending on what we do in this next round. Okay, Derrick Henry goes down to Kale at 23. Derrick Henry very rarely is falling this far. He gets Bijan as well as Henry in the same draft on the same team. So has to be pretty unique there. Jeremiah Love goes at 24. One thing that I wanted to point out as well is we have not drafted a Drake London, Puka Nacua team yet this season either. So feel pretty good about getting that unique combo for the first time. Loop says, I want to over 5K on Underdog this year and didn't put it on my taxes in my Cook chat. So Underdog will send you a tax form if you win. Here, let me pull this up. I have AJ Brown ranked as my highest name. Do we want to stick with AJ? I think we do. Let's stick with AJ Brown here. We'll go Puka, Drake London, AJ Brown, and we're going to pray that we get a running back on the way back. But the freaking running back we always end up taking is Javonte Williams. But so how it works is if you do win a decent amount of money on Underdog, which 5K is a decent amount. I don't remember what the exact threshold is. I'd be able to tell you, but you are going to get I don't know exactly what it's called. You get like a 1099 sent to you. It's like a specific type of 1099. For me, I don't do my taxes. I have a tax person, so I just go ahead and send it over to them. I don't look at it for a second. But you definitely need to pay taxes on it, my friend. Laceless says it's about 3K depending on the state. Yeah, so I know I have to do it every year because I also get, for me, it's like, this is why I didn't know exactly how much I profited until I did the math over the past, like I sat down, actually did the math and looked at all the results on the results tab, is because my like Underdog winnings sheet, I believe, I could be wrong, could be mistaken, but I get one of these sheets every single year. So obviously with my Underdog partnership, they both pay me actual United States dollars, but they'll also give me site credits to get in these drafts, which again, I am extremely grateful for because I would honestly be drafting in these drafts regardless. Y'all kind of know me at this point, but the site credits that they give me go on that sheet anyway. So I've gotten one of those every year over the past 5 years. And if I had to send it to the tax person, and Desire Best says he got a tax form as well. Clue says, I think it's a 1099 MISC or something like that. That sounds about right. C-Man is the cool. Says, what league data is the roster construction based on? Just sleeper? No, 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 no. Let's move this around. We've gone 3 wide receivers straight. I don't know if we want another wide receiver here. I think we're going to reach on Trevion Henderson to be our first running back, and we'll pair up A.J. Brown as well as Trevion Henderson, both of whom I would expect to be New England Patriots this next year. But if you are looking at the roster construction tool from flockfantasy.com, this isn't based on like just random sleeper data or randomly what we would expect. This is based off the past 2 million teams drafted in Basketball Mania, exactly what they did and what their exact results were. And then whenever you draft your own team, it takes those data points, it screens it historically based on those previous 2 million drafts in real time. It's not like some random sleeper thing that the devs and I built doing our best guess running simulations. No, it's real data off 2 million drafts. But of course, if you want to get access to this, if you are brand new to Underdog and you sign up with code FLOCK, just make sure you set up an account on flockfantasy.com. And the next morning when Underdog sends me we are going to be specific here about who we take. We'll take David Montgomery. I don't love it. I mean, we've only taken him in 4% of drafts so far. But I think if we're ever going to take Montgomery, this is the team to do so with. But, yeah, just make sure you set up an account on flockfantasy.com with the same email address you signed up to Underdog Fantasy with. And Underdog the following morning will send me a CSV with all the email addresses that signed up with code FLOCK. I will take that uploaded to flockfantasy.com and you'll get access to the tool for free. But if you've already been on Underdog for a while and you want it, if you're an annual mother flocker already on flockfantasy.com, it's only a $49 add-on. If you're not already an annual mother flocker on the site, in my opinion, we have by far and away the best tools, the best rankings with a bunch of different creators from YouTube for Dynasty, Redraft, and Best Ball drafts. And you can be an annual mother flocker, get access to all the best ball tools, including the best ball portfolio analyzer. And it's only $146. And typically just the best ball overlays are anywhere from like 500, 800. So you get access all year round, not only to the best ball overlay tools that we built out and will continue to build out, but you also get access to everything for your redraft and dynasty leagues as well. And yeah, sign up to code FLOCK as well on flockfantasy.com. And if you get the best ball extension, I will go ahead and review your best ball portfolio for you for free. Okay. Now, Bashal Tootin goes off at 63. Jack says Team 12 is crushing. Team 12 is Genty, Neighbors, Javonte Wilson, Tate, Warren. I'm not going to say they have a bad team, but I don't know if I'd say they're crushing. So I will tell you my thought process on our Montgomery pick more when we're on the clock. It feels bad, to be honest. It feels like the exact type of pick you want to be avoiding in these drafts, to be honest. But there's a specific reason why we made it. Chuba Hubbard goes 66. So if you're using my rankings, I have the wide receivers ranked. I have the quarterbacks here ranked the highest. We have Jaden Daniels, Jalen Hurts, Drake May, Caleb Williams. But if we wanted to get the last wide receiver in this range, it would be Marvin Harrison. We've drafted 8% Marv, so we're right in line with the average market, but we will take Marvin Harrison here at pick 68. And there's also a reason in which we're doing this that I will cover in just 1 second, but I don't want to say too much right now. C Money says, how much is just the overlay? You can't get the overlay without getting the annual mother flocker package and getting everything on flockfantasy.com. If you already had the annual mother flocker, it's a $49 add-on. But the annual mother flocker is $97, and then the best ball overlay itself is $49. NRG, happy to see you, my guy. Here, James Cook, Barkley, Olave, Flowers, Swift, Christian Watson. Looks really good from a construction perspective. I don't think Barkley would have been my pick there. Okay, so here's the deal, ladies and gentlemen. I done effed up. The best pick on the board in my mind in round 5 was Lamar Jackson. I passed on it with the hope we were going to get Drake May in either round 6 or round 7. Then the best pick on the board in round 6 were the quarterbacks. I done effed up thinking, oh, okay, I have A.J. Brown. I have Trevion Henderson. These teams over here are going to take guys like Jalen Hurts, Jaden Daniels before they would take Drake May. Caleb Williams before they would take Drake May. And no, this team here at 1 decides to stack Drake May with Ramondre Stevenson. So that is what we call an all-time fumble. That is what we call a horrible decision. And that is what we call taking a swing on this draft and now striking out. Like, we're going to take Tony Pollard here. Ton of projectable volume. You'd hope with the new coaching staff that this offense is better. They really can't be much worse than they were last year. Looking at our projected advance rates and stuff, we want 3 quarterbacks, 5 running backs, 7 receivers, and 3 tight ends. And yeah, it looks bad. God dang. We should have just, I feel it in my bones that taking David Montgomery instead of Lamar Jackson just has to be horrible. Especially if we were going to follow up with just some random crap Tony Pollard projectable volume pick in round 7. It's like, if we were just going to get crappy projectable volume, well, why? If we're just going to do it 2 rounds later, why do it in the first place with David Montgomery? And now we put ourselves in a position, which I guess we can look at Stafford in the next 2 rounds to pair it with Puka. But Stafford, in comparison to these other quarterbacks, is just horrible. Like, the upside of May, the upside of Daniels, the upside of Lamar versus Stafford is a night and day difference. God. I'm sorry. Sorry to y'all. Sorry to my wallet. I don't freaking want Jaden Reed of all freaking people. We're going to take Patrick Mahomes. Got some positive news with Mahomes today. Do we have any Mahomes stacks? No. Does this team have any hope? Minimal. We're going to... We'll try to go for it. We will try our best. Okay. Stafford ends up going to the team with Devontae Adams, which was kind of the expectation. I just can't bring myself to take Stafford over Mahomes. Okay. Blake Corum 99. Bo Nix, we have no stacks. Oh my gosh. We're going to go Kyle Pitts, pair him up with Drake London, and go with the hypothetical of what happens if Tua or what happens if Michael Penix can get this train back on track. Do I feel good about it? No. Obviously, you can tell. We're going to have to get in another draft after this. There's no way we can end with this draft. 0% chance we can end with this draft. Okay. Okay. Now... Laporta goes 107. I think the next draft we get is probably going to be a $25 best ball mania, to be honest. Nick Summers says, been watching the streams for a couple years now. Second season actually drafting best ball and loving the overlay tool. Really appreciate you, my friend. Thank you so much. And I promise you, we are going to work every single day to make sure it keeps getting better for you. So if you're liking it now, I am hoping you are going to love it in a week or two. And then in another 2 weeks, it's going to be even better. Alexander says, why not Laporta? Because Jared Goff is having no shot of making it back to us at 116. Antonio says, advancement probability of stream based on current build, 100%. It's pretty funny. We almost had Bo Nix, of all people, making it back to us. And we get sniped on Xavier Worthy as well. So you know what we get to do now for fun? We get to go, what if the Cleveland Browns offense is good this year? Ooh, that's an exciting bet to take. That is super exciting. We get Deshaun Watson. I mean, I know everybody's already said this, but it is very much true and very much worth pointing out. The last time we saw Deshaun Watson, he was the worst quarterback in the NFL. And since then, he's torn his Achilles twice. God. And now the quarterbacks go right after. So, we're not going to get the QBs making it back to us. We may end up having to reach on Travis Kelce just so we have something here with Mahomes. But realistically, what's the upside with Kelce? Like when we're talking about stacks here, are we going to get a big Mahomes spike and a big Kelce spike on the same week? Like, let me pull this up. What was the biggest Travis Kelce spike we had last season? Actually, I guess we had a 24-point game from Kelce. We had a 21, 22, and 19-point game from Kelce. I guess he got some spike upside. But like in comparison to Gadsden, which I know people are concerned about, like we got a 29-point week from Gadsden last year, which I completely understand people being concerned that you're going to have David Njoku go over to Los Angeles. And if that does happen, Gadsden's falling rounds from this price. But until then, we'll balance out our portfolio. We will take him here. And let me see exactly how bad we are looking and what we need to do through the rest of this. So based off where we've taken these tight ends, the 3 tight end build looks very advantageous. The wide receivers, the highest semifinals rates, 7 wide receivers build. Highest advance rates, 6. Highest finals rates, 8. So you can kind of do whatever. We probably plan on just sticking in the middle with 7. Running back, undoubtedly the best construction is going to be a 5 RB build here. And quarterback, undoubtedly the best construction is going to be 3 QBs. And we only have 1. God, I'm an idiot. We need to take... this up. We need to take 2 more quarterbacks. And here's the thing in underdog drafts this year. You get to a point in which all the quarterbacks are gone. At least all the exciting quarterbacks. Now, there are still some names that are guaranteed to start on the board. Don't get me wrong. But Jack wants us to take Tua and Penix. 0% chance that's happening, my friend. And we're looking at Jacoby Brissett with Marvin Harrison. Okay. So let's see what the tool's telling us we got to do. We have to take 2 more quarterbacks, 2 more running backs, 2 more wide receivers, and 1 more tight end. Shaheed off 138. I would have loved it if Shaheed made it to us. here's the thing. We're going to take Stroud not because we have David Montgomery. Like, Montgomery's not going to catch enough balls for that to matter at all. But we're going to take Stroud because you do have Texans receivers that we can snag later. We're like, Seattle, I guess you could go ahead and take Cooper Kupp in round 18. Okay. Darnold goes 142. Hunter Henry 143. Honestly, we may need to mix in Trey Lance. We may need to mix it in here. Woody Marks off the board. We know we have to take another quarterback. If we don't take one now, we're not getting another. We're going to take Cam Ward, pair him up with Pollard, but we can also be looking at Tennessee Titans options later. So now for this team, here's my biggest dream. If y'all remember, we won the $100,000 tournament on Underdog, and we drafted that team live on a live stream, so you could go back and hear exactly what I was saying. But it would be great if one of these teams that we draft that I'm like, oh, this was the worst team ever, ends up actually winning. That'd be incredible. But Joe says, you good, fam? You look tired. My friend, every single day y'all tell me I look tired. Every single night I sleep great. I work all day. I go on my little run. I do my little pull-ups. I come here. It's late at night. And y'all tell me I look tired. I could start streaming instead at 10 a.m. and get my caffeine going. But I'd rather do it at night. Okay. And I live streamed on the Dynasty channel right before this, and I was supposed to turn on the fan before I started the stream, and I didn't. So this Jameson Williams jersey getting a little sweaty. iHonk says the hair is looking thicker than ever. That's what I'm saying. That's what I'm saying. Finasteride. It's carrying hard. Now, Jawan Johnson, 160. Ayuk, 161. So, looking for these stacking options now will be very important for our QBs. Based on the tool, we need 2 more running backs, 2 more receivers, and 1 more tight end. You know what we are going to do here that maybe... We're going to take Ridley the next round. We're going to reach. We're going to reach dramatically on a couple of these picks because, like, looking at Dalton Schultz, you can make an argument, well, Mason, Dalton Schultz is going to make it back to you at 173. And I'd agree, Dalton Schultz would make it back to us at 173. But we also probably want to take Calvin Ridley here to stack Calvin Ridley with Cam Ward as well. So while we complete these stacks, like, Calvin Ridley is also going to make it to us at 173. So we just kind of got to reach on both these names. Okay. Fuji says, as for whether I use finasteride, let's just say a Flock Fantasy hat would look real nice right now. Pretty good, my friend. Pretty good. Okay. Now, Lee says, will Calvin Ridley be terrible again this year? Yes, of course he will. Is that going to stop us from drafting him? Of course it won't. We will take Calvin Ridley here as our next wide receiver. And now it's actually saying, and I would agree with the math, my intuition as well, that we probably want to grab 6 running backs. Our running backs are Trevion Henderson, David Montgomery, and Tony Pollard. When we throw this in the analyzer at the end of this live stream, we are going to see exactly how bad y'all crushed me in this draft, but God, I just got wrecked. Wide receiver, we have Puka, London, A.J. Brown, Marvin Harrison, Casey Concepcion, and Calvin Ridley. Pretty strong wide receiver. Quarterback, we have Mahomes, unstacked, nothing, nada. We have C.J. Stroud with, drumroll please, Dalton Schultz, and I guess David Montgomery. We have Cam Ward with, drumroll please, Calvin Ridley and Tony Pollard. Tight end, we have Kyle Pitts, Rondé Gadsden, Dalton Schultz. Running back, we have Trevion Henderson, David Montgomery, Tony Pollard, and whatever 3 bums we take at the end of this draft. God. That was bad. Jason says, who's the Quentin Johnson of this year? It's Quentin Johnson, my friend. The big Q has remained the big Q. The price has gotten a little more expensive, but it should have gotten a lot more expensive. Okay. Jacoby Brissett does indeed go at 183. You can make a very compelling and a very strong argument that instead of taking Cam Ward at 149, we should have taken Jacoby Brissett at 164. Make a strong argument there. Okay, Katron Allen off. We are running backs and running backs only. And ooh, you know who we get to take in this one? Emmett Johnson. Here's the theory. Kenneth Walker goes down. They look at Emmett Johnson being the starting running back in KC and they go, hey, Patrick, oh buddy, oh pal, get ready to drop back 50 times a game. So we'll take Emmett Johnson as our running back 4. I think this is our 2nd time drafting Emmett Johnson this year. Okay. Emmanuel Wilson goes 192. And God, freaking, and we should have just waited on Gunnar Helm as well. There were mistakes made. Next draft, all the mistakes out the window. We're done. We're done with them. We are ready to lock in. First draft, we did good. We'll obviously see it all at the very end of the stream with the analyzer, but God. Washington off at 196. We're going to take Kamani Vidal in our first draft this year. Here's the thought process. We have none. All right. Let's queue up some other backs. We will queue up Jaden Blue, queue up Justice Hill. We will queue up Najee Harris. And God knows what else. Kalen Black. And then just every other running back to make sure we get at least somebody. And let's get the hell out of here and never think about this ever again. All right. Let's hop in a $25 one. And what sucks too is, oh my gosh, now we get freaking pick 9. I have a long history with pick 9. Long history with pick 9. But pick 9, what are we going to be looking at? I guess we are going to take Lamb or Jefferson. That'll be my guess here. So we'll have like some combination of Taylor and McCaffrey going at pick 6 through 8. One of those wide receivers. And then we're looking at Lamar Jefferson at 9. Pack it ups in this draft with us at 3 to crush us. Troy is in this draft with us at pick 8. Speed says, have you looked into which pick number you've been most successful historically? No, that's something that I'll probably be able to track this year with all the tools that we're building on flockfantasy.com, but we didn't have any of the best ball tools on the site last year or the year prior, so I had no way to do it. And I'm not going to care enough to go back and look at 2022 drafts to see, did I like the 101 or the 103 more? Okay. The best spot to pick this year is undoubtedly 1 or 2. Undoubtedly. Okay, but I want to remind everybody here, I live stream every single night. You're not going to catch me lacking a single night this season. If you want to hop into these drafts with us, we're planning on being live at 8 p.m. Eastern every day. But if you go down there and hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will tell you when we go live. And also, while you're down there, because we're going live every day, you can go ahead and look to drop a like on the stream as well. Now, Saquon Barkley off at 14. We went Amon-Ra St. Brown, as you could see with our ownership percentages. Amon-Ra St. Brown was and still is my most drafted round 1 name. I think, yeah, Amari Hampton's our highest ranked player in round 2. We'll go ahead and take him. I think Amari Hampton is set up to absolutely crush this season. Chargers improved coaching staff, significantly improved offensive line. I think it's going to be a sneaky good offense in the league. And Amari Hampton was a phenomenal prospect. Like Amari Hampton in this draft class probably would have been a borderline top 15 NFL pick. RV, thank you for stopping by the stream, my friend. And yeah, I like this start. We'll see how it goes. We'll keep it simple. Obviously, you want a 3-5-7-3 build so far with what we've done in the first 2 rounds, but that will change with what we do in our future picks. Okay, Brock Bowers goes 21. Rashee Rice off at 22. Okay. Jeremiah Love goes 23. I honestly was really hoping people are going to talk themselves into the Jeremiah Love situation being so bad he was going to stay in round 3. As when drafts first opened up and he was a 3rd round pick, it was like the easiest selection you could have possibly made. And I thought that was going to be a very safe and very easy place for us to flag plant this year. Okay, A.J. Brown goes 25. Pouring Henry says, is this just on the app Underdog? Yes, all these drafts we do are on Underdog Fantasy. And then have we taken a combo of Amon-Ra St. Brown and Amari Hampton before? Yes, we've had one draft before where we've started St. Brown as well as Hampton. And in that draft, we took Garrett Wilson and Devontae Adams. I'm assuming those were our rounds 4 and 5 picks. So I guess maybe we got like an A.J. Brown faller to us in round 3 in that. But maybe we avoid going Garrett Wilson in round 4 in this one, just so we don't duplicate the same team that we've had previously. Travis Etienne off. Troy already has McCaffrey and Henry. It'll be interesting to see if they pull the trigger on the 3rd running back. Looking at my ranks, I have Breece and Tet as our next 2 players. We're going to take Breece Hall And we will set ourselves up with the ability to grab a wide receiver at pick 40. And what's going to be interesting here will be... like if we... oh, Garrett Wilson's already gone. Good. I was going to say if we don't want to duplicate Garrett Wilson on this squad. T. Higgins goes 37. Ladd goes 38. Here's what we are going to do. Thank God. We're going to take Zay Flowers. And we are going to send up a prayer that Lamar Jackson makes it to us and we can stack Flowers and Lamar. We'll see if it happens. But as of right now, that's going to be the prayer that's getting sent up. Okay. Burden, Egbuka both go immediately after. Trevion Henderson off at 43. Okay. Montgomery goes at 45, which is super interesting. And Montgomery over Bucky is something that, like, if Montgomery ends up being like a 4th round pick by the time we get to August, I think that will be a spot where I will probably fade Montgomery extremely hard, because the downside of missing is like the worst case scenario, a low end RB1 finish. Like if hypothetically, if you were to really fade Montgomery there, I don't think there's a scenario in which you can't win this year without him. There's a scenario in which you can't win this year without Trevion Henderson. There's a scenario in which you can't win this year without Bucky Irving. I don't know if that's the case with David Montgomery. Maybe Montgomery has a higher floor than a lot of those players. But I don't know if the ceiling is comparable. Okay, Rome goes at pick 50. Waddle goes 51. I really like the Waddle selection there. That team at 3 is killing it. That team at 3 looks incredible. Okay. DJ Moore goes 53. Devontae Adams at 54. I really like that price. I really like that team at 6. I think they've done a good job. Okay. Fingers crossed. Ooh, hallelujah, 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 hallelujah. Lamar Jackson. The gates of heaven are opening. We are about to be $2 million richer. Not one, but $2 million richer, ladies and gentlemen. Lamar stacked with Zay Flowers, pick 40 and 57. We have St. Brown as our wide receiver 1, Hampton running back 1, Brees running back 2. This is what winning looks like. This is what winning feels like. This is what winning smells like. God, this feels good. Okay. Swing this back. I don't know who they're taking. Jordan Tyson will be our pick if he makes it, though. They took Bashal Tootin. Jordan Tyson, welcome to the squad, buddy. We'll have you here as a wide receiver 3, top 10 NFL draft pick. We are getting at pick 64 in this. Obviously, it's going to take Tyler Shuck to be a pretty good NFL quarterback. He looked decent at the end of last year. I know obviously some people are very excited. Am I going to go overboard saying that Tyler Shuck's the freaking man? But I think it's just fine. I think it's just fine, ladies and gentlemen. Okay. And then now we have the quarterbacks going with Burrow, Hurts, Daniels. We weren't going to take any of those guys in the next round anyway. We've learned the hard way that that's not what you want to do. And now looking at the optimal for us, it's actually going to be for us to take only 2 quarterbacks. So 2 QBs, 5 running backs, 8 receivers, 3 tight ends. This will change as we keep going, but the plan for now is 1 more quarterback, 3 more running backs, 5 more receivers, and then obviously we haven't drafted a tight end yet. Okay. God, I feel good. Yeah, Fuji says, we missed on Lamar in the last draft, and the fantasy gods help on this draft. Yes, and the last draft was all my fault, too. The last draft, we had Lamar Jackson right there in the hand, and I let him go. I let him fly away. He spread his wings, and he said, see you later, deuces. But that wasn't happening today. Not today. Okay, Drake May goes 72. Tyler Warren. That team at 1 is cooked. We'll go ahead and we'll throw this into the portfolio analyzer at the end of the draft, but my expectations are going to be that the team at 1, it comes back where it has a very low probability of advancing, a tiny probability of making the semifinals, and almost no chance of making the finals. So we'll see if I'm wrong, but that team at 1, A.J. Brown being their only wide receiver through the first 7 rounds, is going to be hard to overcome. Groovy says, does the tool work with Superflex drafts? I had issues with it in the field general. So the construction isn't built for Superflex drafts. Ooh, real quick, who do we want? We have 2 running backs. We don't want RJ Harvey. We'll take Tucker Kraft. But the roster construction isn't built for the Superflex drafts. That data is not publicly available. You can use the player combos for the Superflex drafts, and you'll have all the ADP changes. You should have all the ownership percentages and all that. But the construction itself doesn't work for Superflex drafts because we don't have the data. And it will just come back saying, like, it's not compatible with this format. Okay, Jaden Reed goes at 84. Trevor Lawrence goes 85. We could have taken Lawrence at 81, taken Jacoby in the next one. Harold Finn at 87. Do we now take RJ Harvey? It is still phenomenal offensive line. Still a rookie running back last year, almost scored 200 fantasy points. We'll take him. We're underweight Harvey so far, but at pick 88, it doesn't feel horrible. Okay. I thought I was actually going to be making a massive stance towards drafting RJ Harvey. I wasn't doing the pre-NFL draft underdog drafts, but I saw a lot of other people were. And RJ Harvey was going, in my mind, pretty cheaply. And I thought I was going to make some big stance of like, oh, this is a great pick. Everybody should take him, blah, blah, blah. And then they took Jonah Coleman, and I had to completely walk it back. I was like, okay, never mind. I'm not going to be dying on the RJ Harvey Island this year. But this price still feels okay. Ricky Pearsall goes 93. We got Jack says, use the analyzer on team 5 as well. 1 running back and it's Chuba through 6 rounds. Yeah, we'll go ahead and we'll take a look at Kale's team. I think Kale has a respectable team here if he builds out running back. I think the team at 1's going to have no shot. Kale's going to take a bunch of running backs here, and I think he'll be fine. That's my guess, but we'll see at the end of this how these builds actually grade out. Fuji says, do you think Tucker Kraft is 100% or close in 2025? Let me pull this up. But Tucker Kraft's, it's not like he tore his ACL at the end of the season, right? Was it week 6? And one thing is you get the benefit of all the players. Actually, no, never mind. I'm an idiot. Tucker Kraft tore it in week 9. So what's the date on that? I mean, 9 months, that's still him coming back right before the season starts. But also, you can make an argument that that injury is priced in, where you have no Dobbs, you have no Wicks, and he was the tight end 4 in points per game last season. Kyler off. Do we have a quarterback? Yes. We have 2 different quarterbacks that we can look at here. We're going to take Kyle Pitts. The reason being, hear me out. We have stacks with Goff, Love, and Tyler Shuck. There are only 3 teams behind us. So while I'd expect 1 or 2 of these quarterbacks go, the probability that all 3 are off the board, probably not super high. But we will see. I've been wrong before. I can be wrong again. But even after taking Kyle Pitts, it does look like we are still leaning towards a 3 tight end build. But I like Kyle Pitts at 105 here. I think he outscores like Michael Pittman Jr. Okay, let's see what this team does. This team has no New Orleans Saints, so my expectation would be we do end up getting Shuck, but I could be wrong. They go Pittman, so we are going to grab Tyler Shuck. We're going to pair him up with Jordan Tyson. That'll be the last quarterback that we draft in this one. We've drafted Tyler Shuck now in 1 draft. This is our first draft taken him. But now we got to play catch up at wide receiver. Quarterback, we have Lamar and Tyler Shuck. We know we're only taking 2. Running back, we have Hampton, Brees, RJ Harvey. Wide receivers, St. Brown, Zay Flowers, Jordan Tyson. Tight end, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts. In the past, I would look at this team and I would go, you know what? We're done at tight end. We're only taking 2. But looking at the math, it looks like in the past, I was making a big mistake. The advance rate is significantly higher with 3 tight ends as opposed to 2. The semifinals rate is significantly higher. The finals rate is significantly higher. So we probably should be going with the 3rd tight ends. We know looking at running back, the best across the board is going to be the 5 running back build. Wide receivers, it looks like 7's optimal, but since we only need to take 2 QBs, we can get away with taking the 8th receiver. We'll see. We'll keep it going. Engel says, let's get a big dog going, Mason. I am not getting in any $500 drafts anytime soon because I need to get a hell of a lot better at this. Okay. Sitting at 12 says, can someone explain how these drafts compare to a regular fantasy football draft? So these are best ball, so no time commitment during the year. You don't work the waiver wire. Rosters are locked after you make this draft. And you don't even submit your own starting lineup. At the end of every single week, your highest scoring players just fill in your lineup. It's how I can draft hundreds of teams every offseason and then still during the year have the time to care about the teams that I care most about. Okay. Pouring says, if I'm on the Flock Fantasy website right now, how would I get in a draft with you? These drafts aren't on flockfantasy.com. You can purchase access to all the tools and stuff on flockfantasy.com, but these drafts are on Underdog Fantasy. Okay. And that link is in the description comment section. Again, if you sign up and you use code FLOCK, you'll get $50 added to your account after you play your first 5, and you'll get those best ball tools for free. That way you'll have an advantage over the competition. Now, Kale on the clock here. iHong says, would you stack as much in sit and goes or only tournaments? I would still target stacks and sit and goes, but it's not going to be my number one priority. Obviously, you can make a very compelling argument that we just should go ahead and take Mark Andrews because he stacks with Lamar Jackson, blah, blah, blah. But we only have 3 wide receivers through the first 10 rounds. Frankly, we need wide receivers, so we're just going to go ahead and take one. And if we get Mark Andrews on the way back around, we'll take him. We may end up passing on him, though, if there's a compelling receiver that we can grab. Because the wide receivers are running out quickly, and there's still a bunch of tight ends. And we could go Juwan Johnson super late. So Andrews is like the obvious guy to grab. But if there's a wide receiver here that we really, really like, we may want to take the receiver. Ohio State says, when will you update the mock sims on the flockfantasy.com site to include redraft leagues? Probably in a month or so. Right now, the only mock drafts people are doing on flockfantasy.com are Dynasty. We will take Omar Cooper or Shaheed, who's here. Spam the chat. Do you want Omar Cooper or Shaheed? Shaheed, 127 points last season. Omar Cooper going into a horrible situation, but he gets the round 1 capital. Actually, we have Breece Hall. We're going Omar Cooper. We are going with the receiver there regardless. Looks like we got Omar, Shaheed, Omar, Shaheed, Omar, Omar. Looks like most people were on the Shaheed side. You could tell that I've drafted a lot of both of those players. But for me, if I've already made the bet that the Jets aren't going to be a horrendous offense this season, by us deciding to take, Breece Hall, I think maybe we just double down on said bet and take Omar Cooper. Okay. Now, and then we'll probably end up getting Juwan Johnson in the coming rounds. But to be honest with you, I'm not super concerned with that. Like, if we miss out, it is what it is. I'm not going to be sitting here crying. Okay. And honestly, typically we only get in 3 drafts, but I'm having fun. Also, the fiance has some film things she has to do tonight, so maybe we get in another draft after this. How about this? We are sitting with 230 likes on the stream. We have almost 800 people watching. If we hit 300 likes on the live stream, we'll go ahead and fire up another draft. Okay. Ayuk goes off the board at 145. Now, I actually like this team a lot. I think we got really lucky to get Lamar in round 5, of course. Like getting the Lamar Zay Flowers stack. I am just a massive fan of, because I think Lamar Jackson at pick 57 looks great. Here's generally my quarterback strategy. I was thinking about this today with how the context of these draft boards are. I love the value of almost every quarterback here that goes in rounds 5 and 6. I think in general, in almost every draft, I'm going to be trying to take one quarterback in rounds 5 or 6, and then one quarterback in the range of rounds 8 through 10. And then I'm going to be trying to avoid the quarterbacks in rounds like 11 through 14. But I want to be done drafting quarterback like where we took Tyler Shock. Okay. And it doesn't matter that like CJ Stroud correlates with Jaden Higgins. We're done. We are taking running back, wide receiver, tight ends. And all of this is disgusting. Do we take our first Keaton Mitchell team? No, we don't. We're going to take our first Denzel Boston team. Oh my gosh, this is gross. The reason it's gross is right after we make the pick, I can immediately see a player that looks better on the board at the same position. It's my first time taking Denzel Boston. The reason we decided not to take Keaton Mitchell is we already have Marion Hampton. If we take a Marion Hampton in round 2, I don't want to be drafting Keaton Mitchell. And the way that that hits is if our round 2 pick gets injured. So, yeah, I don't feel good about it. But if we end up getting our guy in the next round anyway, it's going to be A-okay. But it looks like we did hit 300 likes on the stream, so we will go ahead and get in another draft after this one. We're going to take Travis Hunter. Again, the reason we're taking Travis Hunter here is not because we are trying to score the most amount of fantasy points possible, but instead we are trying to have the lowest points against possible. So taking a player that's going to be locked down on defense makes a ton of sense, especially when he's going to be like our wide receiver 7. But Denzel Boston was a horrendous pick. It was so bad for a multitude of reasons. 1, I don't think he's a super compelling prospect. 2, I think he's in just an absolute garbage offense. And 3, we already have a bunch of rookie wide receiver exposure. We're already sitting with Jordan Tyson. We're already sitting with Omar Cooper. Do we really need to go ahead and bring in the other rookie QB that went in round 2 of the NFL draft to the worst team in the league? Probably not. Okay. Jalen Naylor goes 164. Okay. Pop says, why is Christian Watson being drafted so high? I am thinking the same question. I mean, I understand why. Christian Watson was good last year coming off a torn Achilles, and most people thought he wouldn't be even ready to go. Then you have Romeo Doubs leave. You have Dontavian Wicks get traded. Tucker Kraft himself's coming off a torn ACL. So I understand why he is going so high. I'm not taking a ton of him myself. Okay. Debo goes 170. So at this point, our optimal and Gino's going to fall a while. I'm probably going to end up with a lot of Geno Smith, to be honest, as gross as it sounds. We need to be taking 2 more running backs, 1 more receiver, 1 more tight end. But quarterback's not the position for us to be taking here. Even though, God, these players look horrendous. We made a bet on the Chargers by taking Hampton. Do we take our first share of Trey Harris? We'll take Trey Harris. I think it's our first time drafting him. And then we are done at wide receiver. We are only going to be running back and tight end through the rest of this. And yeah, I don't know if I can get there with Eli Stowers. I'm afraid with Eli Stowers that this is like the perfect example of somebody that people are excited about just because we are just here with the NFL draft. So these rookies are still fresh in our minds. We're still thinking about upside. But once we get to August and people realize, like, yeah, this dude's just not going to be anything at the beginning of the season, I bet you he's going in round 18 / undrafted. Adonai Mitchell goes 181. Yeah, Speedbird says. The big Q collapsed on the floor with that pick. Yeah. Do not tell Quentin that I did that, please. Do not tell Quentin, whatever you do. Like Kate Otten, as an example, has averaged like 100 fantasy points over the past 3 seasons. I feel like this is just the guy that we take. It's boring, but you know what you're getting. So we'll take Kate Otten, and then we're going to grab 2 more running backs at the end of this. And honestly, we can reevaluate this team at the very end of this stream, but I want to hop in another draft. So I'm just going to queue up a bunch of running backs here. I think Kamara would be the natural pick with Chuck, but Kamara is just an absolute bomb. Ray Davis, I already have in 20% of drafts. We'll queue up Justice Hill, Adam Randall with Lamar. We'll queue up Kalen Black. We'll queue up Najee. We'll queue up DJ Giddens as well. And I don't want to do Samaje Perine. We'll do Ty Johnson in case I'm wrong about Ray Davis. But we're just going to get 2 of these running backs, and we'll throw in a bunch of these random crap guys. But let me go ahead. And honestly, F it. I felt good about this draft. Let's get into another Best Ball Mania. Let's get into another BBM. I know everybody here pretty much knows this, but for the 1% of people that don't, this is the largest tournament on Underdog. If you look at the structure, it's a $25 buy-in, $15 million prize pool. $2 million for first, $1 million for second, $500K for third, $400K for fourth, all the way down the line. If you're wondering, how the hell do you turn $25 into $2 million? You're going to draft against these 11 people. Got to be a top 2 scoring team out of the group of 12. Then you'll advance to week 15, where you play against 13 people. If you have the highest scoring team, you advance to week 16, where you'll go up against 11 people. If you have the highest scoring team, you'll advance to week 17, where you go up against like 650 people. And if you have the highest scoring team, you turn $25 into $2 million. Into $1 million. Is it easy? Not at all. While I have won multiple Underdog tournaments, I have finished top 5 and other multiple Underdog tournaments. I think I have like 4 or 5 top 5 finishes across Underdog tournaments. The highest I've ever gotten in this one is 16th place. This is very tough, but it is the flagship contest and has the highest prizes. So it's undoubtable. It doesn't really matter who you are. You win this, and it is life-changing money. We're going to take Jamar Chase. We have 16% Puka, 16% JSN, and only 8% Jamar Chase. So we'll keep it simple. I want to have a lot of all these wide receivers, and you can get JSN, you can get Puka Nacua later than you can Chase. So if I'm at 3, you just kind of got to take them. But I appreciate y'all hanging out with us. And we have Taylor going at 6. Oh, how far is McCaffrey going to fall? Lamb and McCaffrey falling in insane amounts. There is no way that one team can get Lamb and McCaffrey on the same squad, right? What if this team at 12 decides to pass? If this team at 12 passes on McCaffrey, okay, no, they take McCaffrey. But still, they're going to be able to get like McCaffrey and James Cook. Here's what you do, like, genuine. Take this to heart. Like, I'm wrong about many things. I'm an idiot. I get things wrong all the time. This was a massive mistake from what this team just did at 12. The reason being is if you look at all the Underdog tournaments, right, all the drafts that you're in, McCaffrey typically going at picks 7 and 8. James Cook typically going at picks 10, 11, 12. The context of the board is going to make it where in the overall tournament, the amount of teams that have 2 first-round picks, including one guy that typically goes in the middle of round 1 together, is like almost non-existent. It's like impossible to get. You getting McCaffrey here is an absolute gift. So what you have to do if you get a round 1 player that falls like 5 picks past ADP, you have to immediately auto pick with your next pick the highest ranked player according to ADP, because it's going to be a unique combo that not many people can get. Here, this Christian McCaffrey, Derrick Henry start is very possible to get. At pick 7, you can take McCaffrey in almost any draft, and you can get Derrick Henry in most drafts at pick 18. There are going to be a lot of McCaffrey, Derrick Henry teams in the overall tournament. But the amount of teams that would have had McCaffrey and James Cook, who typically goes at like 11 or 10, none. So, in my opinion, that was a mistake. My rankings, I have Jeremiah Love ranked as the highest guy. We're just going to take him. We're going to keep it simple. I'm not going to overthink it. Yes, Jeremiah Love is one of my most drafted players, but I really do like this cost that we are getting at pick 22. Okay. But yeah, that team at 12, I'm sorry if you're watching this. And again, I understand I'm an idiot. I get things wrong all the time, but that one thing I'm pretty damn confident in. If you get the ability to create that combo that nobody else would want, you got to do it. Okay. We are back up on the clock. My highest ranked player is Josh Jacobs. The only thing I'm concerned with, and let me check this real quick, is do I have Chase, Love, and Jacobs together? No, I don't. I have a lot of Josh Jacobs. I have a lot of Jeremiah Love. So I wanted to make sure I didn't have this exact combo of these 3 players, but it looks like I don't. I had drafted Jamar Chase and Jeremiah Love in a draft together. I don't know who I took in round 3 in that draft. In the 4-5 turn, I took Trevion Henderson and Jalen Waddle, though. So maybe we avoid Trevion and Waddle with this one. Okay. So then it says, taking a rookie on a terrible team for your second pick will lose you money. Well, people took Saquon Barkley his rookie season with a first-round pick, and it made them a ton of money. Let's play a fun game here. I do think this will be a fun game. And I don't want to like have a massive Jeremiah Love campaign. And I do think where he goes now at the end of round 2 is completely reasonable. I'm not going to try to tell people you need to take him at the beginning of the second round. But where he was going in round 3 was crazy. Let's play a fun game of the running backs that were drafted inside the first 5 picks. Let's see what we got. Let's go to drafthistory.com. Let's look by position. Come on. Okay, so running backs that were selected inside the top 5 picks of the NFL draft. You have Jeremiah Love this past season. Last time we saw this happen was Saquon Barkley in 2018. Let's go over to flockfantasy.com. Let's search up Saquon Barkley. And Saquon Barkley in 2018 to a Giants team that has just earned the number 2 overall pick, finishes the running back 1 with 24 points per game. Barkley was a better pick than Jeremiah Love. I'm not going to deny that. But the previous time it happened before that was Leonard Fournette in 2017. Okay, we don't have Fournette on flockfantasy.com, so I'm just going to have to do this on Pro Football Reference. Okay. Come on. Load this up. Leonard Fournette in his rookie season, 1,000 rushing yards, 9 rushing touchdowns, and almost 1,400 yards from scrimmage with 10 touchdowns from scrimmage. Let's find our next candidates. Ezekiel Elliott was the running back before that. Trevion goes right before us. I want to take a receiver here. Who was the player we took with? We're going to take Jameson Williams. I have a lot of JMO, but we didn't take him in that draft where we had Chase and Love. But Ezekiel Elliott, his rookie season, led the NFL in carries, led the NFL in rushing yards, and almost had 2,000 yards from scrimmage. Who is the running back that went top 5? Do we need to keep doing this? Then you got Trent Richardson in 2012, which obviously Trent Richardson, massive NFL bust to one of the worst teams in the league. But even in his rookie season, he had 1,300 yards from scrimmage. The thing is, when teams take a running back inside the top 5, they're going to do everything they can to get them involved. They're going to do everything they can to set them up for success. We're going to take Colston Loveland. This will be our first selection of Colston Loveland this season. Probably a player I don't want to fade too hard, but round 4, it's a little tough to take him. Round 5 seems reasonable. Okay. Again, I'm not going to make an argument to y'all that Jeremiah Love is some phenomenal pick at the end of round 2 here. I will say that he is a phenomenal pick if he is going in mid-round 3, which is where he opened up going in these contests, which is why he's my most drafted player. I think we took him in our first 4 drafts. But not saying he needs to go at the beginning of round 2, but I definitely think he is an acceptable round 2 draft pick. And now I love this team. I am never going to complain about having Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs at running back, Jamar Chase, Jameson Williams at wide receiver, and then Colston Loveland at tight end. Yeah, I really like this. Okay. Jimbo says, Mason, for the draft grading, is there any explanation? I thought I drafted good, then got a C-, but I don't know what to fix. So the roster construction grade is just strictly based off the investment you made into each position, where you did historically, and what it has resulted in. So, and then there's the ADP value, which will update over time. So say you were to grab Colston Loveland here in round 5 at pick 51. And a month from now, he's a round 3 pick. Your ADP value will go through the roof. But if you got a C- on the roster construction, it's probably you just invested too much into one position and not enough elsewhere. Which, I have done in plenty of these drafts. And we will evaluate all of the drafts that we've done in this live stream after this one. But it's the main thing, again, is going to be your roster construction and how much you're investing in each position and where. Okay. Jalen Hurts goes at 66. Looking at this, in theory, I absolutely love the picks of Jalen Hurts as well as Lamar Jackson with where they go here. It's just the reality of the situation. It's tough to get away with those 2 QB investments, at least whenever I tried it earlier. Maybe it's just I made a mistake earlier in the draft. But we have Joe Burrow and we have Jamar Chase, and Joe Burrow falls 8 picks past ADP. So there's no getting cute with it. You can maybe say the teams after us have no Cincinnati Bengals. They'll let us get Joe Burrow at pick 75. There's no reason to try to get cute. You just take Joe Burrow, you say thank you very much, and you move on. Dak Prescott goes at 73. My rankings, I have Mekhi Lemon 1, Drake May 2. I think kind of regardless, we want to be taking a wide receiver here. Drake May goes. We're going to take Mekhi Lemon. You can make an argument that maybe it's better for you to take DK Metcalf on teams in which you don't have Jalen Hurts, and then save Mekhi Lemon for the drafts where you get Jalen Hurts at the end of the 6th, which I'd be very sympathetic and I'd be very open to that argument. I just think Mekhi Lemon's the better pick. But I freaking love this team. I'm sorry, but we have an incredible squad here. Quarterback, Joe Burrow. Running back, Josh Jacobs, Jeremiah Love. Wide receiver, Jamar Chase, stacked with Joe Burrow. J-Mo, Mekhi Lemon, wide receiver 2, wide receiver 3. And then Colson Loveland for a tight end with a ton of upside. I love it. Okay. Justin Herbert off at 83. Come on. I don't even know what we want at this point. Like, we have such a... Looking at our optimal construction, 2 QBs looks to be the optimal once we take Joe Burrow there at 70. Running backs, 5, very clearly the play. Wide receivers, 7, 8, and 9, all very much acceptable. We probably thread the needle, go in the middle with 8. And then tight ends, 2 or 3 you could go with. So we have a lot. This is exactly what you want to see, where you have a lot of flexibility. Okay. Cortland Sutton goes 89. RJ Harvey off at 90. Did we get Harvey at like 87 in the last draft? I think that's where we took him. Desire says, what is Team 10 doing? Donating to the cause. Team 10, yeah, Team 10 only has Jordan Tyson and Chris Godwin at wide receiver. Probably going to be tough to overcome that. Warren goes 92. We have so much flexibility. We can kind of do whatever here. Jaden Reed off. We're going to do something weird. Actually, no. F me. We're going to do something smart. Get your big Qs in the chat. Come on. Let me see them. Show me your Qs. Show me those Qs. Quentin Johnston, 94. Who else? Who else could it be? Blake Corum, Ricky Pearsall, J.K. Dobbins right after. Isaac says, how's that not Corum? Because Quentin Johnson scores more points than Blake Corum, my friend. We're going to keep it simple to you. Brock Purdy off the board. All right. We know we only want 2 QBs. Is Mahomes the quarterback you want on a 2 QB build? We'll run with it. Patty, I know we got some good news for you today. I hope you can start the season. God, that 8-9 turn. I want to say feels awkward, but if you're willing to reach and make the correct pick, it's maybe just fine. It's maybe better than fine. It's maybe perfect. Okay, we have Jordan Love, Matthew Stafford off right after. And then once we take Burrow and Mahomes, we are done drafting quarterbacks. So it's good for us to see these QBs off the board. Okay. And dear God. Let me see what the updated math tells us to do. So 2 QBs, very clearly optimal. Highest advance rate, semifinals rate, finals rate. Running backs, 5 running backs, very clearly the optimal. Highest advance rate, highest semifinals rate, highest finals rate by far. Wide receiver, 7, 8, 9, all in play. Tight ends, 2 and 3, both in play. So with that, I'm probably going to go 8 wide receivers and 3 tight ends. That's my guess. Like looking at the data and then looking at the site suggestion, I would honestly agree with it. Okay. James, happy to see you, my friend. Thank you for stopping by the stream. Okay. Josh Downs goes 111. Jared Goff 112. If we were to take a tight end here at 118 or 123, I think you can make an argument we're done at tight end. Xavier Worthy goes. Lee Waltley snipes us on him. Obviously, Worthy was who we wanted with Mahomes. God. Okay. What are we going to get? What are we going to get? Baker off. I have my eyes set on someone. We'll see if we get him. Kale's right before us. I don't want to. Vinny and Kale, I didn't even notice. Vinny takes who he wanted. He takes Chris Rodriguez. Good pick, Vinny. Rashad White goes. Sure, we'll take Wan'Dale Robinson. A lot of these running backs are the same that are going to come back around, whether it's Gainwell, Jordan Mason, Aaron Jones. And then Kelsey, I guess, is the only stacking option that we have with Mahomes. And BBM is so large, we probably want... F me. Here's the thing. Aaron Jones, Kenneth Gainwell, I feel like these picks are just so much better than Kelsey. Do we want to... We're just... I wouldn't reach on Kelsey for the stack here if we had Xavier Worthy make it to us. But because we didn't have Worthy make it, we are going to take Kelsey. Tiebreaker, the fiance worked on Happy Gilmore too. She said Travis Kelce, super nice and was the absolute man. So I want to be rooting for Kelsey. And we'll run it. But now, running back, we only have Love and Jacobs through the first 11 rounds. There's a real argument, at least how I would have thought before we had the actual real life data to show us in real time. I would have been very compelled to only take 2 tight ends and instead take the 6th running back, which 6 RBs definitely in play now. And 7 wide receivers are as well, but it does still appear that 3 tight ends is the optimal. The change we may make based off what we just did, passing on running back for the 8th straight round, is we may take 7 receivers as opposed to 8. Our receivers at the moment are Jamar, Jamo, Mekhi Lemon, Quentin Johnson, Wan'Dale Robinson. I think it was a mistake. Okay, now seeing that, structurally, it was a mistake for us to take Kelsey as opposed to a running back. We should have taken an RB. Jimbo Stack says, Jordan Mason being next to Aaron Jones and ADP is nuts. Who would y'all rather have? Would y'all rather have Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones? Spam the chat. Because when you say that that's nuts, I go, I don't. Nuts in which way? Spam the chat. Would you rather have Jordan Mason or Aaron Jones? Cam Ward 136, Tyron Tracy. I would have loved to get Tracy at 142. Mason, Mason, Jones, Mason, Mason, Jones, Mason, 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 Jones, Mason, 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 because the name's goated. Agree. Vinny says, do we have to choose one of them? You kind of got to. I mean, took a running back on day 3 of the draft if you wanted to go that way. Okay. What we know we're not doing is we know we're not taking a quarterback. But outside of that, anything is possible. Outside of that, anything is an option. God. These options are garbage. What does Kale do? He already has 5 running backs, so he wasn't taking a running back. Do we just go Woody Marks? 196 rush attempts as a rookie. Obviously, projections are he's going to be playing behind David Montgomery this year. I would assume that he has some receiving upside with a healthy Montgomery, and that maybe expands the role of Montgomery were to go down. I don't think he's a super good running back, but we'll go with it. Daniel Jones goes 144. I haven't taken Keaton Mitchell at all. I've taken Jonah Coleman some. We'll take Jonah Coleman again. I think we just kind of need a play catch up here at running back so we can get away with only taking 5 and not having to take 6. God, that was... I was flying so high through the first 7 rounds. The first 7 rounds I felt phenomenal. Now, I'm questioning it. Wide receivers, 7, 8, 9 builds are all about the same. Running back, to me, it looks like 6 RB builds based off what we've done is preferable, to be honest. And most people historically, with what we've done, only take 5 running backs and take 8 receivers. I think obviously we need at least 5 and 7, but that last pick I think is flexible and we can do whatever we want based on whatever player we like the most. Okay, we got a bunch of tight ends going here. Okay, Hunter Henry 155. Malik Willis 156. I'm really interested to see how all the teams tonight did. Okay, Stribling off at 160. Let's move this down. Okay. We're not taking Brissett. We need at least 1 more running back, at least 2 more receivers, and then the other 2 picks we have are very much optional. And depends what happens here. Okay. We are going to take Tajee Spears. This is my... oh, shoot. Actually, Kale's already taken 5 running backs. Maybe he can't take a 6th. Actually, I think he can. We'll see if he does here. He goes Dalton Schultz, so we are indeed going to get Tajee Spears as our 5th RB. If you're really worried about Nicholas Singleton, then maybe Spears is nothing. But I'm not that concerned. And yeah, this was such a weird team that there's not even enough data to tell us what to do here in the last 3 rounds. We're still somewhere between 5 and 6 running backs and 7 or 8 receivers. We're going to have to make the call on our own. Okay. Let's play it safe here. We know we need at least 2 more receivers. Let's grab a receiver. We're going to take Calvin Ridley. Assumption is Calvin Ridley is an absolute bum. We're taking him on the same team in which we have Wan'Dale Robinson. So possibly, just possibly, if Cam Ward surprises to the upside in a big-time way, or if maybe Cardinal Tate's just not the dude, we could hit on both these players at the same time. Vinny says, Mason Tools tell me to go 2-7-6-3. What'd you do at running back? Bucky, Warren, Rodriguez, Keaton, Brian Robinson. Be very interested to know what the actual numbers are alongside it. PBR Tyler, happy to see you, my friend. Hope you're doing well tonight. And you missed us drafting some horrendous teams. But we'll review them in a second. Okay. Now, Tank Bigsby goes 177. We know we need at least 1 more receiver. Okay. Jeremy Bernard goes 179. What is this team doing here? Gino. Yeah, I mean, they needed to take Gino. They have Omar Cooper, and they're only quarterbacks from Malik Willis and Mendoza. That is true. We got the big Q. So all is right in the world. And we will up. I think we drafted the big Q in 2 drafts tonight. So when we throw our exposures page together, we should have. He was already our most drafted name. So we should have a ton of them. Stowers goes 182. Gunnar Helm off as well. Okay. Come on. Braylon Allen. What's going to happen? I'm freaking locked in because I really liked this draft at the beginning. I'm afraid we sold it. Do we take our first Tyreek Hill pick? Our first selection of Tyreek, and we go, what happens if he goes back to KC? Let's do it. I haven't drafted him yet. There's a good chance he only has 1 leg this year and he doesn't play, but we pulled up his Instagram and a couple months ago, he's recording. We saw some videos of him working out. That was months ago. And also he had some pretty cool grills. So always got to take that into consideration. We get 2 more picks. Here's the thing, like, about us. We took a tight end at 51 and a tight end at 123. But I think Pat Freiermuth here outscores Dontavian Wicks and Tank Dell. Freiermuth, 135 points 2 years ago, 93 points this season. He just outscores the receivers. So we're going to take the tight ends. And then I'm going to agonize over one of our last picks. Okay. Tyler says, instead of reviewing dynasty teams, can you review my Hinge interactions instead? You are obviously the #1 ladies man on YouTube. I would 100% do a live stream with you reviewing your Hinge interactions. Would love to do so, my friend. Just let me know when. We got Tank Dell, 196, Jake Tongas, 197, and Chris Bell, 198. Yeah. Fuji, those Tyreek Hill Instagram workouts, earns him a pick at 190 here. I'll tell you that much. I'm not joking, my friend. I'll do it. Set up the stream. I'll end this and hop over there right now. Kadarius Tony says, I'd have to get matches in order for you to review my interactions. Yeah, maybe the Kadarius Tony profile pic ain't helping, my friend. I'm assuming you got Kadarius Tony on your Hinge, and that's probably the problem. Okay. Adonai Mitchell off the board at 203. Jimbo says, the later picks this year feel so much harder than the last season's. They're always hard for me. The last few picks in every draft, always brutal. I don't think I've ever had a year where I'm like, I'm dialed. I know exactly what I'm doing in the last 4 rounds. Okay, we are choosing between a running back or a receiver with this last pick. Wide receiver, we have Chase, J-Mo, Mekhi, Quinn. No, we need a receiver. We need a wide receiver. We need Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs to be true anchors. And then we need one of Woody Marks, Jonah Coleman, or Tajay Spears to break out. Kadarius Stoney says, I think my problem is I'm too much of an alpha male. So I've been out of the dating game for a while. But from what I know about women, the last thing they like is alpha males. I'm sure that's the problem, my friend. Fuji says, Hinge is honestly a nightmare unless you make 100K. How would a dating app possibly know how much money you make? Like, how would that be relevant? Zachariah Branch is going to be my pick here if he makes it, just because who the hell else is going to catch the ball in Atlanta? We're going to take him. And then we are going to sync this. And we will see exactly how bad these drafts were. All right. If you want to sync your drafts with flockfantasy.com, hit the little Google Chrome extensions. Hit the flockfantasy.com/underdog extension, and it will run and it will sync all your underdog teams with the sites. Let's go ahead and pull up flockfantasy.com real quick. Go to my best ball tab. I only want to look at the 2026 season. Portfolio grade at the moment is an A-. Wait until Quentin Johnson rises 2 rounds in ADP, and then this sucker going to go up to being an A+. Okay. Now, we have Bo Nix, Jalen Waddle as our #1 stack still. That doesn't change after today. Our most common roster construction now is actually 2 quarterbacks instead of 3. It's 8 wide receivers, 5 running backs, and 3 tight ends. We almost always take 3 tight ends. Let's look at the drafts that we recently did. This draft we just did. The team that has Burrow, Mahomes at quarterback, Jeremiah Love, Josh Jacobs, Woody Marks, Jonah Coleman, Tajay Spears, Jamar, J-Mo, Mekhi Lemon, Quentin Johnson, Wandale, Calvin Ridley, Tyreek Hill, Zachariah Branch, Loveland, Kelsey Frymuth. We got an A+ both for ADP value as well as the overall advancement rate. So the construction looks very solid. We weren't reaching on our players. We completed stacks. I think that team we did was incredible. Looking at some of these other teams, Team 7 here got an A. That was despite taking Lamar and Jalen Hurts. They were able to recover from it. Team 11 got an A+ as well. This was a 3-5-7-3 build. And let's go and look at the other teams we drafted. The team we drafted before this also got an A+. This was the other underdog team. I'm sorry, the Best Ball Mania team, where we took Lamar, Tyler Shuck at quarterback, Amari and Brees, RJRV, Kamara, Justice Hill at RB. Then St. Brown, Flowers, Jordan Tyson, Jaden Higgins, Omar, Denzel Boston, Travis Hunter, Trey Harris, Tucker Kraft, Kyle Pitts, Kate Otten. The team that we drafted that was bad tonight, we also drafted a good puppy team, the Jaden Daniels, Cam Ward one. The team that we drafted that was bad was the Ashton Ginty, Kyron, DeAndre Swift, Jonah Coleman, Jaden Blue. Or was this the team we did yesterday? Did we do this today? I don't even remember. We drafted 4 teams. No, we did. No, that was from 2 streams ago. This is 1, 2, 3, 4. This was the worst team we drafted, which I actually thought I had liked it. Surprise. Why was it grading out poorly? I guess we go tight end rounds 11, 12, and 13. Don't take our first receiver till round. And then wait till take our running back 4 and 5 around 16 and 17. Kale, good question. How many A+ teams won it all? God knows what. But overall, I actually think we did a pretty good job drafting today. I stand by a lot of this. And looks like in 17 of our 29 drafts, we have taken a Tennessee Titan. We've taken a lot of Titans, Falcons, Jets, Cardinals, Eagles, Chargers. But I think that's all I got for y'all. I really appreciate you hanging out with us. I'm going to be live tomorrow, the next day, 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 the next. I'm live streaming every single day. I'm going to aim for it being 8 p.m. Eastern, but sometimes life gets in the way. Sometimes it'll be early, sometimes it'll be late. As long as you hit the bell next to the subscribe button, YouTube will tell you when we go live. And of course, if you want to draft with us, Underdog Fantasy, code FLOCK. Code FLOCK will give you $50 added to your account after you play your first 5. Plus, you're going to be able to get the Best Ball Portfolio Analyzer for free, as well as the Best Ball Tools in Draft for free as well. Just make sure you set up an account on flockfantasy.com after you set up your account on Underdog with the same email address. That way, when Underdog sends us over the list of emails the following morning, we know who to accredit that free access to. And then if you wanted to purchase everything with the Best Ball tool, you can go ahead and find that link also in the description or comment section, flockfantasy.com. $146 gets you access to everything on flockfantasy.com, all the tools for your dynasty, redraft, and best ball leagues. But really appreciate you, ladies and gentlemen. I really hope I get to see you out with the live stream tomorrow. And yeah, thank you for everything.